You see how these trails wrap around the head of a drainage, or they go through a saddle, or there's this really steep side here and they get a little, maybe it's like a 35 degree, and then it flattens out just a little bit to maybe like a 25, and then it's steep again. Well, that's a little bench, and they'll use that when they're wrapping around, that ridge. So the challenge there is finding out how the deer utilize the terrain, which does take some time and takes some experience. Finding out what the food sources are, finding where those food sources are, a certain time frame, 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, when that sun really gets up and starts hitting where you're at. And there's a little, turnover time there where it's kind of like, it's starting to warm up, but it's not quite warming up, and your wind is just doing some weird stuff. And then all of a sudden it's starting to rise. So there's some complicated stuff going on there. It's a little bit harder, but man, the guys that are good in hill country, I think they're some of the best hunters in the world. They scout hard. They know the food sources. They know how to identify all these different types of oaks. They know how deer use terrain, and they know where to look for deer, and so those are the challenges. But you got to get in there and you got to cover some ground, and you're looking for those native food sources. You're looking for deer sign. You're looking for trails, how they move through that type of terrain. And then, you always have to have an understanding of what deer can feed on in that given region, how they travel through there, and where they typically bed. It's interesting too, like a lot of, I have some friends that are really, they live in hill country and they're just killers, they're hill country experts. And a lot of them don't really, I don't want to say they don't pay attention to wind. They do, but they're not like, okay, I'm going here because the wind's out of here.
I think a
lot of times they're going in and they're scouting, or they're hunting, and then they're checking the wind as they go, see what it's doing at that time frame, and then kind of manipulating that or adjusting, as they get into that area.